Hey everybody, it's me, Chris Herman, here for another episode of On Deck. Today our guest is Darinda Sant. Darinda was our media and co-op and traffic specialist here, but she has moved up the ranks and she is now a client manager and doing a fantastic job. And I wanted to have her back on the show now that she's settled into this new position. Darinda is just somebody who excels at everything that she sets her mind to. She's done and doing a fantastic job. And I really wanted to touch on that in a way that I think would be useful for anybody in their career to listen to, what are some of the secrets of her success. So without further ado, here's Darinda. Darinda.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm freezing.
You're freezing.
I'm cold and it's so pathetic. I've got my hands on my hot mug here. Darinda, welcome back. You are on deck for round two.
Round two.
Yes.
Exciting.
I am excited as well too. We had a great conversation the first time.
We did. I enjoyed that.
I did too. And I'm just gonna jump in with some more Darinda flattery, so I hope you don't mind.
Okay.
In the course of the time that you've been here, you've done such an amazing job. And then, of course, over the last few months, we've been transitioning you into client manager position, to which you're kicking ass.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you.
And I'm, I don't want to say like I'm surprised, because I'm not surprised, because you've displayed an incredible proficiency at everything that everything that you've learn how to speak, Chris, at every opportunity that you've earned. But what I'm really liking is I'm seeing you even like just grab further, right? Like if this is your realm, you're like, hey, but that could use some attention in this. And that's what's really catching my attention.
Okay.
And so I want to thank you for that, because I think that's really fantastic.
Thank you.
And I think our business and our clients will benefit from that.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Yeah. But I'm really like, where does this, like within, where's the drive come? Because you're a mom, you're a wife. I almost said a husband like me. You've got a family. You've got a lot going on, and you're really moving through things in a very proficient and professional manner.
Thank you.
Let's start there.
Like what makes me tick?
Yeah. What makes you tick? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's always been. I've always had that work hard ethic since, I was a kid. My parents came over here. They immigrated from Trinidad. So instilled in us was always, work hard, keep your nose to the grindstone. You'll be successful, that kind of thing. And always keep looking for the next best thing or the next greatest thing or the next, way to push yourself forward. And I myself always like to challenge myself in whether it be my job, whether it be in motherhood, whether it be, my relationships, what's the next step? So I'm always looking for that.
Such a great attitude, for anybody to, really absorb that. It's important. And, to display it on a daily basis and to accept new challenges and learn, with excitement and enthusiasm, it's just a great way to go through life. So
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
There's a lot of things that we can discuss, but we've been through a very interesting time. You've gotten an opportunity, particularly, we're almost 2 solid years into COVID at this point in time.
Yep.
And I would say more, as it pertains to our business, a year of, adjusting to what's happening in the business, and for you as somebody who is, I would say, well, I can't say you're relatively new into the retail automotive space because your husband's in the space,
Yep.
What are some of the conversations that you guys have, when you're talking about this business, being that your husband's in the business and you're in the business? Is this now something that is that gets communicated about?
I mean, we've always talked about it. My first job was selling auto parts, aftermarket auto parts. So I've always been in automotive. And just meeting my husband when I had gotten my car serviced, it was kind of like meant to be. It was almost kismet. So given with the pandemic and just things that are going on, he's never been away from work. Like, he didn't have a work from home situation. He was always going in because he's in the service department. So, I mean, we've talked about just the dwindling down of inventory for where he works. They used to have a parking garage full of cars, and now he's like, they're just moving it down to like lower levels and, you know, trying to sell off what they have and you know, just kind of what we do with our clients is pre-orders and things like that. But he's noticed, you know, a lot more people are coming into the service drive, you know, maintaining their cars and trying to keep those running during this whole thing just because of the shortage. So we've had those kind of conversations.
Yeah, it's so interesting the way the business has shifted right now. Mm-hmm. And you know, we've talked about it a lot here. You know, our view at this point in time, it's really like a 2-year view, right? And you know, that was another one of the things that you reached out to me on, just saying, hey, look, and I'm looking at this as well too. And I'm with you on that. It's like, you know, even if inventory starts to slowly kind of come into play a little bit towards the end of the year, it's still going to take a lot of time, you know, to adjust. And I think that what we're doing and what you're doing and what we're able to do for our clients is just help them change the narrative of what they need to communicate for their business.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, this whole concept of like filling the pipeline and keeping that order flow going is something that they can't necessarily do successfully without telling people that this is what it is.
Right. It's very difficult, and especially if you don't have the inventory, like, what do you do? So you have to pivot.
Yeah.
Everything is right now, it's just, we have to pivot. So.
Well, these are interesting times, and I've always found that, you know, it's times like these that really can provide an incredible amount of opportunity for those that are willing to say, okay, you know, we've got to navigate our way through this, and it will pass, because all things do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt. And, you know, I'm happy for our dealer clients because, you know, they've really been able to be financially successful over a period of time. And so that's great. And I think that's putting them in a position right now to be able to, you know, focus their business plan this year to be not quite so defensive,
right?
You know, to be, let's call it, you know, cautiously optimistic in how they do it. And, you know, you're going to be a very frontline and integral part of how we work with our clients and that communication. And I'm glad to see that.
Thank you. And also, I think now is a great opportunity for our clients to explore alternative ways of advertising. So utilizing more digital, utilizing TikTok, utilizing more of the platforms, getting their name out there, you know, showcasing other ways that they can service their clients. You know, I think now is like that perfect time.
Well, you touched on two things. And one, you know, I know with Sam at Bald Hill, you're really able to jump in there, and they've really taken a stronger approach on their social, which is wonderful to see.
It's great.
And but you know, you said the two magic words, which is TikTok, which I knew we would end up talking about today. But as I think I've said before, you know, you were the one partially responsible for leading me into the downward trending rabbit hole of TikTok. But I've got to tell you, and I know I'm a believer.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it time and time again. There's a couple of content creators who they have a candle business. They posted like 2 candles. All of a sudden, like, this guy now has a warehouse. He has a crew. He's fulfilling like hundreds of orders daily, just based off of a few TikToks that he did on his candles. It's crazy.
I think for the most part, a large portion of adults still view TikTok as something that is for the kids, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I'm on TikTok, every day. I mean, I'm not watching kid content creators. I'm watching grown adults.
Yeah.
You know, in any number of fields, whether it's food or comedy or, you know, a unique product or, you know, politics or just some kooky stuff. It's all adults.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact, like, for example, you mentioned this this candle maker, right? Well, I follow this guy. His name is Stale Cracker.
Okay.
He is a Louisiana guy. Like, his main business is he's like a crawfish fisherman, right?
Yeah.
And he's like a good old New Orleans boy, and he's out on his airboat and catching crawfish and bringing them in. They do these big crab boils and shrimp boils, but now he cooks. And I've watched him start in his kitchen at his house, and now he's got like a warehouse where they're set up for the show, and they're starting to create products, all just based on the fact that he got out there just doing some kooky stuff.
Yeah. it's amazing how connected TikTok makes everybody, and it's funny when TikTok first launched. It was I joined like 2018. I was just recovering from surgery and I'm bored in my bed. What am I gonna do? Like, oh, TikTok, what is this? And it was a bunch of like little 30-second videos of like people lip syncing the things, and then the pandemic hit and all of a sudden everybody's now on TikTok. But it then grew into a community and a way we can share our passions and our creations and things like that and our viewpoints. And it was wonderful to see how this one little app that started with like, a couple little voiceovers has now blossomed into a whole community, and people sharing their point of view, people sharing their creativity, people even now making their lives better based on the content that they've put out. Like Tabitha Brown, love her, follow her. And, it started off with she was doing vegan recipes and sharing her positive messages. And now she has a YouTube channel with programming for kids and teaching kids, positivity and, creativity and that kind of thing. She has a seasoning blend with Mrs. Dash, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just watching her blossom. And that's just one example of many content creators who started off just like you and me. They have a passion, and then all of a sudden they bloom and blossom into like what we call a success. But it's great to see, and you're rooting for them. It's not like you're jealous. It's like, yes, what is your next step? Yes, do it. It's
so cool. And certainly between Instagram and YouTube, lots of young up and comers made a name for themselves and created a brand. If I were to say what I just sense is the difference is that the TikTok YouTube crowd sort of created a brand of identity, where it seems to me on TikTok, they're creating a brand of identity, but it seems to be leading more into actual products and sales, and they're actually creating something that they're selling as opposed to just their image. Am I accurate in saying that?
For the most part, yes. So there are influencers like Michaela, she's out of Boston. She quit her job like 2 years ago to do nothing but beauty. So she has a beauty room and she does makeup tips and she does all these great makeup tutorials and tries all these products, and she gets all this great swag and things like that. So I mean, as it was just her and her talent as a makeup artist. So there's that. And touching on YouTube, Liza Koshy comes to mind. Like, she would just do these like random videos of like brown girl and that kind of thing. And I love her to death. But then all of a sudden it parlayed into hosting for Nickelodeon. Like, I think she was hosting Double Dare or something like that. And then she was on New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest this year. Yeah, this past New Year's. So yeah, it parlays into all these great opportunities for them. So
I've said this in almost every episode that we've done recently. I think it's the greatest time ever for creative people.
Absolutely.
For so many reasons. One, with social media, the audience that they can build for themselves, and the exposure to be able to, for somebody like that who, 10, 15, 20 years ago would have had to, and I'm referring to the girl you mentioned that ended up on the New Year's Eve show. Years ago, you would have had to like audition for stuff and, go through all these channels. And now it's in the power of people's hands to just do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. Because you then get to control it. It's not like you have to go seek out an agent. Now agents are seeking you out.
Right.
Now you don't have to do the legwork of having to like go and shop yourself. Like, people are coming to you. They can literally just see your body of work and say, hey, yeah, I want to work with you.
It's so great. How do we do a better job with our clients in terms of, let's talk about TikTok for car dealers, right? It has always sort of been the pathway that as dealers have stepped into the world of social media, and really at this point in time, as far as what I would call social media for dealers, we're really right now just dealing with Facebook and Instagram primarily. Right. That's not to say that some aren't on Twitter, but don't know if that's a fit.
Right.
LinkedIn, maybe for employment, but to really market their business, we're kind of talking right now about Facebook and Instagram, of course YouTube, but YouTube to me isn't really like social media, right?
Right, yeah.
But in these, let's talk about Facebook and Instagram for dealers, traditionally, it's either been take whatever commercial or ad that we're running in everywhere else and put it there. Or pull, feeds from our website and post our inventory.
Right.
Which is what works everywhere.
Right.
But it's not like, it's not like social, right? It's like ads in social.
Yes.
So as we move towards recommending TikTok for dealers, how do we like get them to understand that TikTok in particular has to be much more personality and creativity driven?
Right.
And then maybe if we succeed there, then we can kind of backfill into the other platforms.
Right. It's finding that person either within the dealership or maybe auditioning somebody in that market that has that sort of spark or charisma that can draw the people in, because TikTok is not one of those platforms like you vlog on. Like, nobody cares that you went for a bike, or for a walk. Nobody cares that you went for a bike ride. Nobody cares, right? They don't know you enough to say, oh, hey, that's great, so you have to have something that you're sharing that then people become invested in to want to know more. So whether it's you, like again with Michaela, it was her. We were invested in her because she quit her job. She wanted to be a content creator full time. It's watching her go from living in her parents' house to now having her own apartment, being engaged, like watching that journey. So it's how do we translate to that, that to our clients? It's finding that person either within the dealership, because I'm sure there's somebody there who has that spark and that passion that can then draw clients in and viewers in and say, hey, yeah, I like that car, tell me more about that car, but in a fun, interactive kind of way. So, because you can video a car 360, you can open the doors, like, no one cares. But if I'm like, hey, I'm jumping into my Ford Ranger, I'm going out to the mountains, watch me drive up here, this is us camping, this is me plugging in my
we stopped
TV.
A long way for this.
Right. So you make it engaging and fun and that kind of thing. So it's really about grabbing the attention, because you only have between 30 minutes to a minute. 30 minutes, hear me. 30 seconds.
That's a long TikTok.
Right? That's a long TikTok.
That's a lot of TikToking, yeah.
30 seconds to a minute to, invite people in, show them what you need to show them, and then they're off and they've scrolled to the next thing. So it's grabbing that attention. So I really think finding the right creator for the brand is the way to go. Yeah.
And I've given some thought, like, do we, and it just, I don't think it fits to like, hire a couple of different talents that we could use from multiple locations to kind of do stuff. Even if they were really good, I sort of feel like it would feel like, like we've talked about this before, when you see like the national advertisers come in on TikTok and they're trying to be TikTok-y and you're like, it seems like a real commercial here,
Yes, exactly. And that's, you don't want that.
No.
Because you're automatically going to flip to the next video. Like, no one wants that.
Do you think, I think that our clients would sometimes think, well, we don't have anybody that's like, super particularly, attractive or dresses right or has experience in front of the camera. But I think what they don't understand is that you don't need that. You don't need that. The realest thing is what really goes.
Exactly. The more real you are on this platform, the more views you're going to get. It's so weird, but like, just having that person that looks like your neighbor next door, that's the person that you're going to listen to. I'm not going to listen to some like well-groomed model who like has, every hair in place and her makeup is perfect. No, I don't. No. Show me the bags. Show me you're in sweats. Show me with your hair up. Show me you with the baby on the hip. And like, hey, this is me getting into my caravan and we're going to go pick up groceries. Like, okay. And like, yeah, I love this car because, I can stash the baby here. I have the rear view I can see. I have enough cargo space to hold all the groceries. I can hold, the stroller. Okay. You've sold me. Now I want a caravan.
I'm just writing this down because you're scripting. You're perfectly scripting this out right now. But that's exactly
that's what it is.
And you get it. And that's what's so great. So I think we need to, as we move through increasing our clients, because this year is a great year for us to help our clients with social media.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Totally agree.
Because they don't want to spend, they have money to spend.
Right.
But just because they have it doesn't mean then it's prudent.
Yeah.
But social media can be done very effectively for not a lot of dough. And this is the kind of stuff that's really important right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
How to make a big impact with not a lot of money in social.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the nature of the market right now.
My hot water has gone from like 212 degrees. Now it's like at 197. I'm getting pretty close to being able to take a sip here. Greg loves it when I like sip right into the microphone and make a loud noise. As it pertains to TikTok, although I think you haven't been creating quite as much lately. I think you got a little bit more on the plate right now, but you are not only a proponent, but somebody who has spent time creating your own stuff, which I've seen a good bit of it, and it was very creative.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
There was the one like a tribute to your parents, and yes. I think I told you, man, I was like, I started welling up a little bit. It was really nice.
Yeah, thank you.
We've talked about this before, but I'm just curious again, the creative spark for you, where does it come from, and what are the ways that you continually, nurture that?
Both my parents were creative, so I definitely have to credit them for instilling that, in me. It's on my mother's side. I think it's like her whole like ancestry and everything. Like you can go back to Portugal and you can see like artists within our families. Like my aunt's creative. She's drawn for me when I'm growing up, she's drawn like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse pictures to hang in my room and that kind of thing. My mother was very creative. She always had ideas for greeting cards, and she's written poetry. My dad too was a great writer. He's been published overseas and that kind of thing. And it comes from them. And to maintain it, I mean, anything I can find some way to twist it into some sort of art, and that develops over time. It wasn't always like that. There was a time where if I had to do an art project, it was like, oh God, I have to do this art project. Like, what do I do? But over time, it's just developed into like, okay, I got that spark. Let's go. Let's do it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, put it away and then come back to it. I've done that many a time. Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I look at it, it's like I've got all these projects that I work on. It's just, some days some days when I sit down and play the guitar, I'm like, just like on it, right? Yeah. And then other days it's awful, and I'm like, the energy's not flowing. I'm tense, or I'm whatever. I'm just not there. Yeah. Just got to put it aside. But it's always that process of like continually working at it. Yeah. It's so enjoyable. It is. I love that. Like creating. There was one season I didn't get a chance to create anything, and I got so depressed. Like to the point where I wouldn't even leave my room. I was like, cook dinner, go to the room. Sit out, watch Jeopardy, go to the room. Because like I couldn't create, and it bothered me so much. Like it just ruined my psyche. And I'm like, never again. Like even if it's five minutes to myself, sketch something, write something, do something, make something. You have to. You have to as a creative person. Yeah, Erin, I discussed that with Erin. She's the same way. Just like constantly got to just be doing something. And it's almost like a shark in water. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny too because, like I think back in the last couple of years, and I think over the last 2 years, if I didn't have some significantly meaningful creative outlets or projects, because a lot of like the creativity for me, sometimes it's just projects, right? It's working on stuff around here. Like that's creative to me. But if I didn't have that over the last 2 years, I really don't know. You'd be depressed. I think so. Yeah. I really do, because to go through the last couple years without some things that, that help offset, because it's been a challenge for all of us in different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, and, to not have some things that are positive to offset that. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, exactly. And that's why a lot of people join TikTok, because like, I got to do something. Yes. I got to go somewhere. I got to see something, and that's how I feel like that blossomed and like sprung forth, because people were so like, I have nowhere to go. Where am I going to go? Sit in my four walls. Like I have to do something. And that was their creative outlet.
Do you, I look at COVID, which has been, nobody would say COVID has been a positive thing in and of itself, but it has brought about some things that I think can lead to positive improvements in a lot of people's lives. And when I say that, what do I mean? I mean, first and foremost, well, we've certainly learned that people don't need to be in the office every day, 5 days a week, right? Companies around the world, including ours, have learned to either work 100% remotely or on a flex, on a flex schedule. Yeah. And I think that, and I was always a hardcore. I want everybody here. I want to see everybody, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, well, that's A, it's not necessary, right? Right. And B, probably not the best for everybody's overall mindset. So this new ability for people to be able to work remotely from home, to manage things in their lives in a better way, that's great. As you're talking about, like this increase in TikTok and people working on that has given a lot more people creative outlet to do fun and exciting things. And when you look at like the combination of all of it, particularly in the creative world, to be able to kind of work from where you want to and do what you want to and be able to monetize it in a way, I think it's really cool.
It is. It's very cool to see.
I was mentioning this to Aaron when we were talking. I mean, I think everybody here knows that. Like, I love this place. It's sort of like my man cave, like for lack of better terminology. And I on one hand, I'm like, God, I'd like to always have something like this, right? But who knows? In a couple years, all this space may not be necessary, right, and we may go even further remote. And in doing so, maybe you guys are like, hey, we've got an opportunity to be here, and somebody else is like, I could be here.
Right? Yeah.
We could run a successful company all around the world.
Thank God for internet.
Right?
It's true.
You hear these people, they're like, well, people who move to Bali or Tahiti or whatever stuff, and it used to seem like, well, that's ridiculous.
Right.
It's not ridiculous anymore. People can go and live pretty much anywhere they want. I realize I'm like saying stuff that everybody knows, but that's fascinating.
It is. And that's what we've realized, through this whole pandemic. It's like, I don't need to be in the office. I don't need to go and fight traffic and get to work on time. I could just roll out of bed and sign in on time.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I saw, where did I see this just the other day? They had an office meeting. It was like it was like for a law firm or something. And they said, come to work dressed as you were for your Zoom calls. And they're all like, everybody is like professional from the waist up, and everybody's wearing like shorts and pajamas.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's so fun. And they all went to work that way. Yep. And it's just like, it's good. I sometimes wonder what are commercial real estate, like I think about the people that own this building.
Right.
Like, what must they be thinking right now as they see this shift?
Yeah. What are they going to do?
What's going to happen with all these malls? What's going to happen with all these big office buildings?
I mean, they might go empty. They might get turned into something.
Yeah. You know what I think? Bitcoin farms or miners.
I was waiting for you to bring that up.
I think that somebody's going to look at some of these big properties and be like, well, we could put a Bitcoin mine in this place, a crypto mine, and just fill out the whole place.
And
you've got the
space.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're there now.
We're there now. I was waiting for it.
Let's talk NFTs for a second. Okay. And then you know what? Why don't you tell me what you would like? Is there anything particular that grabs your fancy in this subject matter?
You know what? I don't know enough about it to really give a true opinion. I have just like hearsay of what, some people say it's bad. Some people say it's good. I don't really know. It's still new for me.
So the people that say it's bad, we're just talking about crypto in general. What are some of the things that you hear?
It's funny. Somebody made the analogy of like it's Cole's cash. Like
it's
Cole's cash. So it's like you only use it for that one thing, and it's not very tangible.
Right.
Right. Others are like, these farms that they're building. They're sucking all the energy, and they're draining resources. And I'm like, for that, there's ways to circumvent that. I mean, you can do solar farms on top of, the server farms and that kind of thing. So there's ways to circumvent that. But I think it's just because it's so new, and for those who are not interested or don't understand it, they're just already going to poo-poo it. But that's with everything. Like, if you don't understand something, you're automatically just saying, no, it's not going to work.
I had definitely heard the, I remember watching an episode of Bill Maher where he was talking about crypto and talking about just the amount of energy and the carbon footprint that some of the Bitcoin mines were taking up. And they certainly do use a ton of energy,
right.
and there's that has to be considered. But I also and don't quote me, but I know I listened to a couple of the experts in the field say, well, it's really not as bad, and they laid out a sensible explanation for why the energy usage wasn't quite as bad. But they also made some arguments and said, think about like some underdeveloped nations that might have, think about like a nation that might, but they might have a big waterfall, like seriously. And it's like, okay, well, if you can harness the power of that waterfall and use it to power a Bitcoin mine that can then become generating, revenue.
Right.
There was some creative workarounds there, but it's a lot. And I'm still studying it as well too. The crypto prices have been coming down. They really have been falling over time, which, Bitcoin, I think when I first started really paying attention was like it's 57, almost 60,000 a coin. Now it's 37. It dipped down to like 32.
Right.
And, but that's the thing. It's an extremely volatile thing, but the ones who are really in it, they're not in it for the now. They're in it for the way down the future.
Yeah.
Because they feel like it is a very unique store of wealth.
Yes.
But I think what's more interesting for our business and perhaps for this conversation is the NFT thing.
Yes.
Which you've heard me talk about a lot here. And I'm still trying to give thought, like what's going to be our first drop, Is it something about the business? Is it something about music? Is like, what is it, that we do?
Right.
But I'm excited to get started. We're going to get started on in 2 weeks.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what we create and how it performs.
Yes.
And how far it can go. So that gives me excitement to see.
Well, you're
see it.
You're certainly going to be involved in the process because it's not only, it's a couple of steps. And I think that this is going to, it's something that we're going to learn a lot from. Okay. So first off, well, what is it that we want to create? Let's just say it's artwork. What do we want to create, and do we create 12 versions of it or 15 versions? Because that's what everybody says. It's sort of like you create multiple versions of the same thing. So we create something. Then we've got to pre-hype it. Then we actually have to do the drop. And then we'll actually have an event here, to launch the drop. So it'll be like a 3-part thing.
Right.
The pre-promo, the actual drop, and the event to make the thing exciting.
Right.
I don't, sure, would it be great if we made some money at it?
That's the goal, right?
Of course. Right. But that's actually I would call that a secondary goal.
Okay.
The primary goal is for us to learn how to do it and just get in the rhythm of doing it. So just like the podcast, let's just figure out how to do it. Okay. Now, now we're doing this.
Yeah.
Now we figure out how to do that. And my desire is that puts us into the community here in South Florida.
Right.
To do it.
Okay.
You in?
I'm in. I want to see. Let's learn something new.
Right?
I'm always down for that. Like learning something new, finding out something new techniques.
So what are some new things that have piqued your interest recently? Anything you can think of in specific?
Pop-up cards. That's what I've been working on recently, is making pop-up greeting cards.
Like the beautiful ones that do all the...
Yeah, exactly. I found a little kit for $2 at Walmart, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab this $2 kit and learn how to make these pop-up cards.
They make some beautiful, I'm sure you've seen.
Oh, yeah.
My wife buys them from time to time, and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
She just got one for her dad's birthday, his 70th birthday. And you open up, and it was like a beautiful, detailed bird.
There's some gorgeous things happening.
Right?
So, yeah.
And it was nice enough that even when we got on the video call with him, he was like,
aw, that's nice.
He made a really big deal about it.
That's nice.
That's cool.
I tried doing one of those for my dad, and he was like, I don't get it. I'm like, happy birthday, Dad. I'm like, let's go out to lunch now.
Yeah, that's great. Coming back to clients, right?
Uh-huh.
You've been able to, through coming through different positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have been able to, I think, quickly gain respect and trust of clients, particularly through, just communication skills. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something, I guess my overarching story here with mm-hmm. you is that I think that there's a lot for anybody who is coming up and wanting to be successful mm-hmm. in a career mm-hmm. would pay attention to a lot of the things that you do, right? Okay. And that is, it's the hard work, it's the pushing, it's mm-hmm. taking on more responsibility, but also mm-hmm. communicating things in a very mm-hmm. clear way to clients that, sometimes people think they got to talk about stuff.
No. Although, admittedly, sometimes I have to rewrite my emails because I write the way I speak, and sometimes I use too many words. So then I reread it and I'm like, oh no, I need to edit half of this sentence off and then just say what I need to say. But yeah, direct communication is the best way to go, and being very clear in what your needs are. So even when I do my art requests, I'm like, okay, I need A, B, C, I need this, I need that, done, and it makes it more efficient for the designer now to say, okay, this is what she needs, this is how I'll make it, and then we can work from there. Mm-hmm. So that's what I try to always do, is be as clear in my communication as is possible.
I do the same too. I mean, I mm-hmm. still edit, emails regularly. And mm-hmm. a lot of times if it's an important email, I will not actually put the addresses in at the beginning.
Right.
I'll just put a subject line mm-hmm. and I'll just start working on it, because mm-hmm. God forbid you actually
hit the send button,
which we've all done occasionally. Yeah. You hit email on a bad email and you're like, no. You're like, oh.
There was one I sent to you. I meant to send it just to you, but I sent it to the entire client list, and I'm like, and Erin looked over and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. I may or may not get yelled at in a few seconds. We'll find out later.
The dumbest thing that I ever did with that was actually to Erin. I have a spreadsheet that I'm constantly working on everybody's compensation. Uh-huh. And I made some adjustments to it, and then I was getting ready to send it to Tammy, and I was like, and for some reason I was like, I feel like I sent that to Erin.
Crap.
And you might even see, I was like, Erin, no.
It was all.
She's like, I should delete that, right? I'm like, yes, please, and clear it from your trash. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
It happened.
It's just sometimes you just it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Communication and thinking about what you say mm-hmm. and how it gets written is so important.
Yeah. And tone too. I don't know if everybody does this, but I can always kind of judge the tone by the words in the email. So.
Yes. Now, but I see sometimes I find, and this is a hard habit to break. Mm-hmm. I want to communicate that I'm happy, upbeat, and excited.
Right.
But I don't always want to use an exclamation point. But we all do it.
Yeah.
Oh, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Right. But sometimes it feels like, how do I convey in this email that I'm excited and happy and eager?
Right.
Without
100
exclamation points.
Yeah, no. I when you solve that mystery, let me know, because I
haven't figured that one out yet.
I use way too many.
My dad called me out on that one point in time. He's like, the excessive exclamation points make you seem a little bit young and too eager. Mm-hmm. And I was like, duly noted.
Yes, yeah.
Lessons from Parents 101.
Right.
Oh, there goes Brad. Hi, Brad. Brad's usually the only one walking back and forth. Well, Darinda, it's been a lovely chat.
Same here.
I feel like we've covered some good points about the business and your success. Is there anything else that you would like to chat about today?
I don't know. No, I think I'm good. Yeah. I enjoyed this conversation. Yeah. But then I always enjoy my conversations with you.
I enjoy them as well too. It's always upbeat and positive and pleasant. And you don't try.
I do.
You are.
Oh my gosh. You sound like my son. My son, Mom, you're not just a great mom. You don't try. You're good. You know you are. And I'm like, oh, okay, baby.
Making it look easy.
Yeah, right?
All right, well, that's a great way to sign off. Cheers to that, Darinda. Thank you so much for always doing such a great job and making it look so easy. You're
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
All right, great. There we go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.